All right, we're now going to have a look at busing and sending to auxiliary inputs. So there's a few little terms related to this. The concept of sending out here from a track, say from this kick drum track, is we're going to send something on a bus. It literally is like putting something on a bus to go somewhere else. So we're going to start with sending some of these drum tracks to a reverb auxiliary input. The first thing we're going to need to do after these drum tracks here, I'm going to insert a new track which is an auxiliary input. So I'm going to go to the track menu and choose new, and in the new track dialog right here I'm going to choose a stereo auxiliary input. Okay, from those two settings, and hit create. So it creates a new track here which is just simply for audio to run through. There's no actual audio recorded on there, it just runs through there via this bus that we've sent from another channel. So I'm going to put a reverb insert on this particular channel, and we'll just pull up something nice and simple like the good old D-verb. And I'm going to send from the snare top here out to that particular channel. So quite simply, this is sending from the snare drum and it's going to the input of this auxiliary, which I have to set here to verb. So now what I have, if I hit solo on both of these, I should have snare drum coming through this reverb. I'll make sure I've selected a bit of audio it's going to play from, and here we go. So now I can turn up this reverb independent of what's going on with that particular snare drum track. I can also change how much, because this send here brings up this extra little fader when I click on it, and it can decide how much of this particular reverb is sent to this auxiliary input, or how much of the snare drum is sent to the reverb channel there. So if I like that reverb, I could then choose things like the tom and the floor tom here, and I could send some more of this signals to the reverb. And you can send as many as you like to this particular input. So if I solo these and find a section that's got some toms on it, which is coming up right now, and that's how we would do our sending to an effect. So you could put any effect on this particular auxiliary input and you can send any channel to it. And you can do multiples of this as well. If you want a particular reverb for these ones and you want a different reverb for other parts of the drum kit, or for other channels, the vocals or guitars or whatever it is that you're using, you can do this as many times as you like. So renaming them, very important as well. So this one I'm going to call verb because it's that particular, it's the same name as what we have for the sending and the busing and the auxiliary channel there. Now, one more aspect of busing and sending. Now, this is a cool way to create yourself as opposed to a group, which is what we looked at earlier, where we made all these channels work together as a group. So if I turn this drum group on, I can now solo and turn up and down the volume of all these drums all at once. What I can do is also have the volume separate as an entire master volume just for the drums. So I'm going to create one more auxiliary input. I'm going to choose stereo auxiliary input using some shortcuts there we'll cover in later videos. And basically, call this one the dums, or the drums, whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to choose a new input. This one's called bus 3 and 4. It wasn't pre-named, so I can right click on this input here and rename it, which I'm going to call it dums again. And what I'm going to do now is send the actual output of all these tracks to that particular auxiliary input. I'm not going to send from a bus, I'm going to route the output. So quite simply, I can hold down Shift and Option, and whatever tracks I have selected here, and this works for almost anything in Pro Tools, hold down Shift and Option, and then when I set the output of this particular channel, these particular channels, I can send them all now to this dums one. So we quite simply have all of these channels now changing to dums. So when I hit play, all of the output of those channels goes to this particular auxiliary. So it's like a master volume for the drums without having to actually touch the drum faders. So if I wanted to fade in the whole drum kit, I could just automate this one thing to come in. Bingo. There you have some beautiful auxiliary busing. Enjoy.